How's it going, guys?
What time you got here?
Well, I had a little trouble finding the airport. Looks like the tests we'll be doing today are equalization, freak response, and noise loading. So we're running a week late.
Hey, George, how about the keys?
Here you go. This is a typical microwave repeater site, which enables Southern Pacific to receive and transmit information. In this case, this site, Barinda, receives and transmits information 30 miles north of here and receives and transmits information 30 miles south of here. This is a two-hop system, which entails 2 terminals and 1 repeater in the middle, spaced about 30 to 35 miles apart. Upon arriving at the site, the first thing was to have the access or right-of-way cleared. Then the land was cleared, the roads were built, foundations were laid, the buildings were constructed, towers erected, generators put into buildings, and Lenkurt's equipment put into buildings. Today we got test equipment in to do the final acceptance testing, which entails equalization, noise loading, and frequency response. The most important thing installers can do is get the job installed properly and on time so that the customer's in-service date can be met.
Aside from delivering the customer a quality radio product, we also have to make sure that the product is delivered on time. The customer is counting on us to meet the delivery date outlined here in the proposal. And delivering a quality product on time and within budgeted costs starts here with a sales call on the prospective customer.
Just great. I had 76 on the weekend.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, let's get down to business here. I brought you the proposal up on the Coast Valley radio replacement. I'd like you to look it over. The engineers went through your specifications and did a very good job, I think. They had to take a couple of minor exceptions to your specs, but it's nothing your engineers can't live with. The only real problem we had was with the delivery. We couldn't quite make what you asked for, but we did our very best, and it's laid out right there in the proposal.
You know, we will be going through a complete technical review of all of the proposals. It should be completed by the end of the month. But of course, you know that the delivery schedule is very important to us.
Yes, we know that, Jim. Okay, I'll get out of your way and let you get busy.
Thank you very much.
Hearing from you.
Okay, do take care now.
Thank you.
The customer will be considering several proposals, and whether or not Lenkurt gets the order will depend on several factors, including the quality of the system, the price of the system, and the delivery date. Only by meeting all of these criteria will we be able to compete with the other manufacturers of radio products.
Hi, Patty. Do you have the Lenkurt purchase order, please?
Oh, yes, I do.
Thank you. Bart's coming over, and I want to be sure he has it. Oh, here he is now. Hi, Bart. How are you?
How you doing, Jim?
Not too bad.
Wow, you're looking good.
Come on into my office.
Oh, sure. Hi, Patty.
Bart, we've looked over your proposal. We can accept the small engineering deviations, and as a result, we like it. The one problem we have is the delivery schedule. It's 60 days longer than we'd like, but we're willing to accept it. We're going to have to hold your feet to the fire on it. Okay?
Okay, Jim. We'll make it.
Here's your purchase order.
All right, I'll take it back and get it processed right away, and we'll get started.
Take care.
Take care now.
Nice doing
We'll
business
see
with you.
After a salesman gets an order, it is verified by the proposal engineer to see that it still agrees with the original proposal. If there are differences, they must be reconciled at this point, because even at this very early stage in the processing, we could be setting the stage for schedule delays or other problems. The order is then brought to marketing services, where the order control department books it and establishes the schedule for shipment. The method for establishing ship dates is to allocate the equipment against a sales forecast previously made for radio products. Again, any error made at this point could lead to future schedule delays. These sales forecasts are reviewed each month and given to manufacturing in the form of a production plan. The forecasts are a very important part of this process. It takes Lenkurt longer to buy material and manufacture equipment than the customer is willing to wait for his order. So we do a lot of our work ahead of time against a forecast so that we can be responsive in the marketplace. That's the only way we can stay competitive. The whole interface for this process is between marketing services and production control. Errors in judgment in this process can lead to our inability to respond to customer needs, creating a potential loss of business.
Oh, by the way, Dan, in reviewing the 75 radio order for SPCC, can you confirm the frequency bands so we can get the long lead items on order?
Well, let me check with Applications Engineering. If they have a frequency plan, then there should be no problem.
Good, then you could send me a copy.
Sure.
Fine.
After the shipping schedule has been determined, the actual details for the equipment must be established. This is done by forwarding the order first to EF&I. Here, the engineers determine the overall requirements for Lenkurt equipment. These requirements are then given to merchandise engineering, where the details for each item must be established. This step is also very critical. Any error will most likely mean that the customer's in-service date will not be met.
There's that concern again, the customer in-service date. When GTE Lenkurt promised the customer an operational system by a specific date, our company may have agreed to provide an entire network of operating microwave stations across the country. In that event, an enormous amount of effort will be expended in the planning and building of these sites. Construction and engineering schedules are critically aligned to the arrival of Lenkurt equipment. To accomplish this task, we rely heavily on our project engineers.
One of the most important things that a project engineer has to do is to see that the project goes in on schedule within budgeted costs. To do this, he's depending on outside vendors for schedules and costs. He's depending on the factory to ship on schedule.
2861.
Yeah, Dom?
Yes.
Yeah, it's George here.
How you doing, George?
Oh, surviving out in this little desolate place of Burinda.
Oh, yeah? How's it going out there?
Well, got one problem so far.
EF&I Engineering. E stands for engineering, F furnish, and I for installation. Our function here as engineers are to determine the scope of the project based on the customer's outline specification. Once that's been determined, then we utilize the GTEP's standard drawing packages to formalize the equipment required to be ordered and the engineering requirements. After that is done, we're required to stay within the budgetary costs of the project as contracted with the customer. In order for us to complete the package, we're required to write detailed purchase order specifications for outside vendor material that is not manufactured by GTE Lenkurt.
Merchandise engineering's main responsibility is to analyze the customer's requirements. This means analyzing information that's been provided to us by proposal engineering, system engineering, EF&I, the sales, and the customer himself. We analyze this information and create an equipment list. Now, the equipment list is a complete detailed list of all the panels, parts, and instructions that go along with them to load the factory. The equipment list is released to production control. Now, normally this happens within a 4-week time frame from the time we receive the order until it has to be released. If more time than that is taken, it could mean that the customer's in-service date will not be met. Now, this is a very detailed job because all the parts and panels, all the options, and all the instructions have to be correct. The factory is going to build what we put on that equipment list. If this information is incorrect, it would mean change orders, and a change order can mean a missed ship date.
A missed ship date is also a concern to those of us who work in production control. When we agree to the marketing forecast, we are committed to that projection. The responsibility of production control, such as scheduling the factory, ordering necessary outside purchase parts, making sure the stock rooms are stocked, are critical factors in meeting the customer's in-service date. Because radio products have many unique parts, we often have to deal with a sole vendor for a particular item, and we depend on that vendor to ship a particular part to us on time. If the vendor doesn't do that, it could cause us to miss our ship date. Shortages, change orders, key punch errors, faulty components, all these factors could cause the delay of a radio product order. Production control not only has to make sure that we have enough manpower to ship radio products, but we also have to make sure that we have the outside purchase parts, the in-house components there when needed.
It's the purchasing department's responsibility to see that the factory gets all the outside purchased parts it needs to build a quality, and I stress quality, radio product on time. Usually this involves overcoming difficulties in bringing vendor schedules in line with our required schedules and to engage in a very great amount of long-range planning for long lead time items. Of course, in addition to all the outside purchase parts, many of the components are built right here at Lenkurt.
We are dependent on outside vendors and other departments in order to meet our radio schedules. We're also dependent on a large number of production departments right here in San Carlos. We depend on the crystal department to provide a standard frequency source for each radio system. It takes 5 weeks to produce an RF crystal, making this one of the longest lead components that is manufactured here in San Carlos. The crystal itself is designed to operate at a specific frequency, and therefore no two are alike. Since the crystal takes so long to produce, a delay in this department is a delay to the customer. Patch cords and cables are assembled early in the cycle of radio systems. The patch cords and cables must be built before the shelves are assembled, and later the shelves are assembled to racks. And so the on-time delivery of both patch cords and cables are necessary for us to meet our customer commitments. All of the waveguide and sheet metal parts that are used in radio systems come from this department. The waveguide parts require very critical dimensions. Inside the flange, all of the whiskers must be removed in order to be properly tuned by the technicians. And the sheet metal department provides all of the racks and sheet metal parts that are required in the radio systems.